Welcome back, everybody. I know it's been a while, but today's video is going to be a meta update. I haven't released a patch update since 7.39, but oh boy, have I got a lot to share with you guys. So I just got back from 2 straight weeks of paneling for Dream League, getting to watch all the ways that the pros adapted to 7.39 because it was during the middle of the tournament. So, without further ado, let's get into exactly what I believe this meta to be. So right here, I've got the stats for Dream League after 7.39 came out. So there's going to be some familiar faces. There's definitely some heroes that are still OP, that were OP from the previous patch. But we also want to talk about which ones are going to be useful in your games and which ones I would recommend. And we're also going to be checking out my hero grid to see what I'm going to be picking in my games that I also recommend you guys try out. So first and foremost, the heroes OP from last patch were Bristleback and TA. As you see here, they are banned like pretty much every single game. And the reason why Bristle was banned a lot in competitive Dota was because of the fact that this hero is a flex pick. The big deal about Bristleback being a flex pick in competitive Dota is not only that he can be played in multiple different roles, but the two different things he does are vastly different. One of them is an AoE control slow minus armor guy, and the other one's like a carry that goes ags and has all the quills. So having a hero effectively to be two different heroes has massive value in competitive Dota. I wouldn't highly recommend Bristleback in pubs unless your teammates are stacking for you, because offlane Bristle with the Snot Facet got heavily nerfed, and I think the carry Bristle only really works well if you have like a lineup that builds around it. So even though he's number 1 up here, I still wouldn't necessarily recommend him. So TA 100% win rate in 8 games. She did get nerfed again in 7.39B. I also don't think she's the best pub hero. What makes TA so strong is she can also be flexed from mid lane to safe lane, but she also wins like pretty much every safe lane if you and the support are on the same page. So what made TA's win rate so high is that offlaners struggled immensely against her, and since she was a carry that you could first pick and would win pretty much every lane, and if they countered you with an offlaner that was like one of the few heroes that dealt with you, you just got moved to mid. So both these heroes I do not believe are all that useful for pubs unless you're already very good at them. Next up, we got Shadow Shaman. So he's definitely the best support in the game right now. I think he can be played 4 or 5. People were also sometimes taking the giant ward facet. That thing like lets you solo kill people mid-game. It's insanely strong, and the level 18 ward hits for over 1,000 damage, which is absolutely nutty, and it's almost impossible to kill. Otherwise, you can just take the chicken fingers facet and win a lot of lanes that way. That comes down to trading. But a hero with 2 very useful facets, has stun, has tower push, has decent laning, and really only struggles against lanes that can like all in him, you know, like Tusk +1, you know, Marcy plus Centaur type thing. Kunkka, another hero that is seen in all 3 core roles that I think is extremely broken. Now, there were other builds that people were going, especially when played offlane. They were going like Crimson Guards and stuff, which is possible for pubs. But what makes Kunkka so strong is he was being played mid and carry, and sometimes offlane with this build, going Blade Mail Radiance. It's just too good. It's just too good. Check out some Satanic replays from the tournament if you haven't already, if you want to learn Kunkka. He also can be played mid. He's great for somebody who wants to learn a new hero because you can just play him in any role. For me as a carry player, it's really nice because I don't always get carry. I sometimes get mid or off lane, and I can just pick Kunkka whenever. One of his worst matchups in the game I've noticed is Ursa. So just be careful of that in pubs. It feels very difficult to play this hero into Ursa, as well as Doom. Those heroes are very difficult for Kunkka to play into. Aside from those, the Blade Mail Radiance build seems incredibly strong. Terrorblade, predominantly being played carry now. In the previous patch in competitive, he was being flexed 3, 4, everything. But what we saw with Terrorblade, as you see, his win rate wasn't even that great. I think he's a bit overrated. I think Terrorblade's at the point where if you're really good at Terrorblade and he's like a hero of yours, that he's perfectly good to be picked. But if you're learning Terrorblade, now is no longer the time. Darkseer, also a hero that I wouldn't recommend for pubs because of the fact that it requires a lot of lane synergy and understanding between you and your 4 position. But once again, if you're a great Darkseer player, have at it. Nature's Prophet has been now moved to a support. He's no longer a carry being played in pubs. I was first picking Nature's Prophet carry before 7.39, but he is pretty much exclusively a support, 5 or 4, going the heal facet, going like Spirit Vessels and utility items like Solar Crest Drums. So if that playstyle sounds good to you, hit him up. Doom, another hero that's benefited from flex potential. He's being played he's been playing carry and offlane. Carry generally goes for the Radiance build, or always goes for the Radiance build, while offlane's going more like phase drums, you know, potential SNYs, Blade Mails, BKBs, Blink Daggers, Shivas, you know, Crimson Guards, items that he can pretty much build anything. And the beauty of Doom, of what everybody's using, is that he can sell his items for 85% price back. And so people are abusing going like Midas and then selling it later, and you only have to use the Midas twice in order to get all of its money back, excluding the XP that you get from it. So people on carry are going phase Midas and then using the Midas 4 or 5 times and then selling it to get their Radiance. That's like a very common build and what makes Doom carry pretty strong. Also getting the Alpha Wolf creep. Next up, we have Storm Spirit. Seems like the most solid mid right now. You see that he has a ton of picks, about a 50% win rate. So it just seems like a very reliable mid. He was getting picked very early on in drafts. I would say in pubs, as long as there's like no freaking anti-mage or something, Storm Spirit would probably be a good hero to learn right now, because you'll have some sort of impact and you'll be able to get out of the laning stage unless you just completely botch it. So having that, I think, in your arsenal is a good time to learn Storm Spirit. Ancient Apparition, he's been getting nerfed more and more, and he was getting seen play a lot less as the tournament went on, but he was obviously still picked with reasonable success. He's now in the category I would not recommend learning him, but if you played him last patch, you can still pick him. Tusk seems like the best kill support / save support right now. Difficult conceptual hero because he has so many different ways that he can play. He can be a defensive, offensive, ganker, you know, all types of stuff. He can be a displacement in the late game with his Ags. But I think Tusk is a really fun playmaker, and he's definitely really strong right now, and he's really always good when there's like a beefy strength offlaner guys that like to sit and farm the lane, which is what we're in right now, I would say. So he's always good at ganking offlaners and actually being able to kill them through like Vanguard and stuff with tag team. Beastmaster is officially a summons guy. He's no longer the Ag Scepter build. That shit sucks. Trust me. If you want to learn a summons hero, Beastmaster's just fine, but I think Beastmaster's in like master tier territory where like if you're a Beastmaster player, have at it, but otherwise not the best time to learn. Puck, still a solid mid laner. Always concerned about getting like Huskard or Snipered or Monkey Kinged, but very solid mid laner for sure. Oracle is the most tit-tot broken ass shit you've ever seen in the safe lane if you somewhat know how to play it. It was winning like every single game that I saw. Obviously 70% win, 69%. Nice. Win rate. Got the relevant buff to his innate, making it such that he can tell you his team what rune will be spawning and where it will be spawning. Pretty insane. And then all the other 5 positions getting nerfed made Oracle go way up in value. I would not recommend Pangolier. Pro players just seem to pick this hero for some godforsaken reason. I would not recommend Morphling. His win rate in pubs went down like 5% with the new patch. And I feel like the only reason that people were still picking this hero at the beginning of 7.39 was because his health regen with attribute shift was bugged or unintentionally made to not get reduced by Spirit Vessel or Shivas or Scotty. And then after that happened, it felt like Morphling was just losing every single game. Tiny, you know, also being played as a flex mid and carry. I'm telling you guys, this hero is nerfed plenty. If you are a god tier Tiny player and you just love playing Tiny, go ahead. But otherwise, no longer here to learn. Get out, get away from it. Centaur Warrunner. It's important to note we're going to use him as the segue to offlaners. Right now, with the addition of Chipped Vest, with the nerfing of a lot of the popular offlaners, Chipped Vest synergizes insanely well with Blade Mail. You're taking like, you're returning like 40 damage a hit. So all heroes that naturally build Blade Mail and farm with it, Legion, Axe, Centaur, they went up massively in value this patch and just feel like really solid offlaners. I'll just say right here, right now, that Centaur, or like Axe and Legion are definitely broken in pubs. Centaur probably not as much because he does need his team to not be Pegas. But in most games, you can also look to scale with like a somewhat early Heart, you know, going Blade Mill, Crimson, Blink, Heart. You know, you can look to scale that way, and Centaur can scale. But if they have a hero like Ursa that just like chews through you, it's very difficult to solo carry pubs with this hero. Magnus was getting played a lot of 4 and 3. Not a hero I generally recommend for pubs unless you're a really good player at just the mechanics of Blink, Horn Toss, Skewer, RP, you know, getting multiple people, patience, teamfight execution. Great hero to practice that, but not so much what I would recommend to the average player. Now, Lina. is the new hero that was picked or banned in every single match by the end of the tournament. The last 4 days of the tournament, Lina, carry mainly, sometimes mid, with the Maelstrom, Dragonlance, BKB, Boots of Travel, you know, Daedalus Satanic build every single game. That, no matter whether it was carry or mid, that was the Lina build. So she was getting picked every single game. I think she's back to being just a really solid carry. I believe right now, for whatever reason, we are in a ranged turret carry meta again. So what that means is that you're either a hero like Lina, Terrorblade with meta, TA, Gyrocopter, Medusa, right? We're seeing all of these. Or you're a hero that kills these guys, like Ursa. Like, you just single target, shred these bitches. Or what a lot of people are still doing is just offlaners being played as carry with a Radiance. So we saw a surgence of Doom carry, Abaddon carry, Kunkka carry, especially Omni Knight carry. Okay, Omni Knight had a pretty solid win rate as a core. He was getting played support, and I don't think I saw him win a single game as support. But that seems to be the meta right now. All of the ranged carries and the guys that killed him. Slark, as you see with these picks, was predominantly, and by predominantly I mean only played as a 4. Doesn't mean you can't play him as carry in pubs, but that's not what pros are doing, and I don't really think it's the meta. It feels like the meta right now is melee 5s being paired with ranged carries, or defensive 5s like Oracle, or kill 5s like Shaman being played with the likes of Ursa and Sven. You know, heroes that have pretty decent laning presence and can blink burst the ranged guy on the opponent team. That really seems like the only option. And right now, I'm leaning away from playing any other burst hero than Ursa. That hero seemed really strong every game I watched it. Look how many bans. It had 10-2 record, being picked by pretty much every team there. And as we scroll down, I believe there becomes less and less relevance to you guys. Now I'd like to pull up my list of heroes that I have on my hero grid to tell you guys kind of what I'm thinking about to maximize my chances during this meta. So my hero grid is not completely fleshed out, but I've got a pretty solid basis for what I'm going to be going for. So right now, the only real carry that I want to play is Ursa and potentially Drow and TB. And then, like, there's a lot of semi-carries over here, the Radiance buyers of the world, and Lina. These other heroes are more situational. The further you go to the right, the more situational I believe they are. I think Lina's really strong if you have a melee 5 or, like, a Bane, like a really strong laning 5. I think Lina's strong in that case, so that's why I put her, like, somewhere in the middle. You know, we talked about a lot of these heroes. It feels like it's really easy to gank the carry right now, and a lot of the meta at pro level was just having a guy that was really hard to kill. So I wanted to, like, potentially experiment with Jug over here. I did see a decent amount of Weaver, another carry that's, like, really hard to gank. They were going for, like, the Falcon Blade, Dragonlance, Deso Shard build. That's what Weavers were going. During the tournament, we did see probably 5 or 6 Weavers during Dream League, and they looked pretty solid. But at the end of the day, it feels like the carry is kind of just in this, once again, ranged turret plus Radiance offlaners that have become carries. On the other hand, when we look at offlaners, I'm looking at blade mail buyers and strong laners. You know, Undying was starting to get played a shit ton in competitive. Part of what made him good was being a flex pick. He was predominantly played 5, but there were like at least 5 or 6 games that he was played offlane, and he looked pretty solid with like Phase, Soul Ring, Crimson, Blade Mail, Ags. You know, a decent amount of items that you can go. Usually more utility, if anything, but Blade Mail seemed pretty solid for him as well. But it's a lot of these offlaners that just go Blade Mail. Seem like the creme de la creme. These are kind of experimental for me. The Legions and the Vengeful Spirits. Same with Venomancer. Venomancer seemed really powerful against the likes of Ursa, as well as other kiteable carries. He was propping his head up during the tournament towards the end because of that. So that's why he's over here. He's just more of a reactionary pick. For me, as a basic bitch carry player who doesn't like to play mid very much, these heroes I think are the most mechanically simple in my hero pool that I think are really solid this patch. We're seeing a lot of Death Prophets mid just go Treads Ags or Phase Ags, and that allows them to kind of like scale into the late game. And then when we're looking at heroes to worry about, I just took heroes that were really popular at Dream League, or heroes that drastically changed the way I pick or play. So like Doom counters a lot of heroes, same with Axe, Blade Mail. You know, Axe and Legion are just amazing when the meta, you nerf Sanjin Yasha because status resistance is really good against them. And they're also really good against ranged carries that do a lot more damage than HP that they have, right? So the more range carries you're seeing in your games, the more valuable Axe and Legion become. Or like squishy agi guys like Jug. Looking at 4, we did see a good amount of Willow towards the end of the tournament. We also saw a decent amount of flex of Naga Siren. She's more of a utility support with the Deluge facet that I wouldn't recommend necessarily for pubs, but I play a decent amount of Naga carry, so I feel pretty comfortable with the micro. But yeah, lane dominating pretty strong supports or like gankers / heroes that I feel comfortable with from last meta. So that is my meta update so far for 7.39. I'm getting back in the groove, playing more pubs, so I'll make sure to update you guys even further as the meta develops for 7.39 through TI qualifiers, through all the stuff that's going on right now. For today's sponsor, this video has been brought to you guys by yours truly. The website that I've made. I have invested hundreds of dollars into bsjdota.com, giving you all of the latest news with Brad G. I mean, BSJ and the coaching content, the YouTube content, the personal content, the Twitch content, a monthly blog, and more. Check it out now. Hundreds of dollars, guys. Get it while it's hot. We'll be putting a lot more effort into this as well as the community. Please check it out yourselves, bsjdota.com. Make sure you tune in for future updates, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Like, comment, subscribe. See ya.